Donald Trump has announced that goods from Japan and South Korea will be hit with tariffs of 25% beginning on August 1st.
Japanese government is determined to avoid making easy compromises. We are fully committed to negotiating with all our strength, seeking what must be sought and protecting what must be protected.
Right now, something massive is happening in the world's largest economy. Over 840,000 American jobs are under threat, and it's all because of one international relationship that's unraveling before our eyes. Japan, one of the biggest investors in the US, is fed up. Fed up with the disrespect they've received over the years from the US, and they're ready to fight back. Japan has been a steadfast ally of the United States for over 70 years, contributing significantly to the US economy, providing American workers with stable, well-paying jobs through their automakers, Toyota, Honda, Nissan, and Mitsubishi, to name a few. But now, Japan's patience is running thin, and they've had enough. So, what's driving this sudden change in the relationship? What could possibly be so bad that Japan is willing to walk away from the very investments that fuel 500,000 American jobs? This is a story about trade wars, betrayals, and how a relationship once founded on mutual trust and respect is now spiraling out of control. But wait, it's more than just a trade dispute. It's about geopolitical power, economic control, and a shocking shift that could change the landscape of the global economy. For decades, Japan has poured billions into the American economy, creating a vast network of factories and businesses that produce and sell cars all across the US. These factories aren't just assembly lines. They're crucial lifelines for local economies. Cities like Kentucky, Alabama, Texas, and Mississippi have seen jobs, infrastructure, and communities thrive thanks to Japan's investment. Japanese automakers like Toyota, Honda, and Nissan have become a part of America's fabric. In fact, Japanese companies now employ over 840,000 Americans. But now, things are falling apart. The Trump administration has slapped heavy tariffs on Japanese car exports, claiming that Japanese cars are a threat to national security. 25%, possibly rising to 30% tariffs, are now on the table. And this is where things get personal. Imagine, you've spent decades investing in a country, providing jobs, building economies, creating futures, and then suddenly, out of nowhere, you're told you're a threat? A national security risk? It's betrayal. It's insulting. Japan is not the type to fold its arms. They've had enough, and they are saying enough is enough. Japan's top negotiators were stunned. The finance minister said it best. These measures threaten both the Japanese and global economies. The Bank of Japan governor also weighed in, stating that this could weaken growth and push economic policy toward caution. But this isn't just about tariffs on cars. The US is also asking Japan to cut off semiconductor machine sales to China, a move that would directly harm Japan's economy. Japan relies heavily on China as a key customer for these machines, and yet here they are, stuck in the middle of a political tug-of-war between two global powers. And if that wasn't enough, the US is targeting Japan's rice imports, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. So, what's really going on here? Why the sudden aggressive stance by the US toward Japan? The Trump administration claims these tariffs are about rebalancing decades of uneven trade. The US argues that Japan still benefits from currency advantages and that American car manufacturers face barriers in Japan's domestic market. But there's more to it than just that. These tariffs are economic punishment, not only aimed at Japan's car industry, but also targeting the core of their economy. Japan's response is clear. No new trade deal unless the tariffs are reviewed and revised. And guess what? Washington's stubbornness has forced Japan to get even more serious about this. The Prime Minister admitted that Japan is far from making any trade deal with the US right now. The diplomatic tone has shifted. Japan is no longer playing nice. The real game here isn't just about automobiles or rice, it's about geopolitics and the US pushing Japan to take sides in the ongoing battle for tech supremacy with China. Japan's semiconductor machines are critical to global technological advancement, and the US needs Japan to stop exporting them to China. But Japan knows that giving up such a large portion of its economy to appease the US could do irreparable harm to their trade relationship with China. Now here's where things take a crazy twist. We're talking about the future of car manufacturing in the US and the shocking fallout for American jobs. Japanese automakers like Toyota, Honda, and Nissan have been responsible for more than half of all the cars on American roads. In 2023, Japanese companies accounted for nearly 50% of all vehicles sold in the US. Toyota alone was ranked as the #1 brand in the country. Without Japan, half of the cars on the road would simply disappear. And these cars aren't just any cars. They're affordable, reliable, and often more durable than many American-made vehicles. But the real problem is that 500,000 American jobs depend on these Japanese car companies. These aren't just factory workers. Dealers, suppliers, office employees, over 840,000 jobs across the US are tied to Japanese automakers. These companies contribute over $90 billion to the American economy every year and pay $30 billion in taxes that fund local schools, hospitals, and infrastructure. So what happens if Japan pulls out? What if these companies reduce their operations in the USA? The pain won't just be felt in Japan. Small-town America that depends on these factories could feel the sting. The US government might believe these companies are just foreign invaders, but Japan isn't playing by the same rules anymore. In fact, these tariffs are starting to backfire on the US. In response, Nissan has already quietly reduced production of some of its key models in the US, including the Rogue. Toyota, on the other hand, has moved some of its investments elsewhere, specifically to Thailand. This was no random decision. Japanese companies have been preparing for this kind of situation for years. So, while the US is pushing for more tariffs, Japan is already shifting production to Southeast Asia. Vietnam, Thailand, and Indonesia are now becoming the new hubs for Japanese automakers. And perhaps the biggest shock, Toyota's $2 billion deal to build an electric vehicle factory in China. Yes, China, despite all the tensions. Japan is no longer looking at the US as the stable, dependable partner it once was. It's looking elsewhere. The truth is, Japan's withdrawal from the US could shake the entire global economy. It's not just about cars. It's about trust, geopolitics, and the future of global tech and manufacturing. If Japan can be betrayed by its longest ally, who's next? South Korea, India, or other US allies? This breach of trust could spread like wildfire across the globe. The bottom line? Japan's withdrawal could change the future of the American economy, especially the auto industry. The next few years will be crucial in determining whether the US can rebuild this relationship, or if Japan's shift in focus is permanent. So, the question now is, will Japan continue to cooperate with the US, or will this shift signal the end of an era for American automakers? What happens next could alter the entire global economy, and you won't want to miss it. If you want to stay ahead of these global power shifts, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications, because this story is just beginning.